Title: Human saves alien heirs from Inferno. Royalty responds with sacred ritual. Smoke curled upward from the scorched earth like the breath of a dying beast. Flames raged across the violet-tinged forest of Zarinth 3, crackling as trees burst like overripe fruit under the heat. Wildlife scattered, shrieking into the smoky air. Amid the chaos, one human ran against the tide of destruction. Eli Mercer stumbled over a gnarled root, coughing violently as ash bit his lungs. His visor flickered with warnings: oxygen thinning, temperature spiking, toxic particles present, but he ignored it. Somewhere ahead, the emergency beacon still blinked. And it wasn't automated. There were survivors. He'd been surveying geological fault lines from orbit when the eruption tore through the northern forests. Eli had seen it unfold in real time, watched with helpless horror as a once stable terrain ruptured into fire and fury. Protocol demanded he wait for search and rescue crews. But when the beacon flared on the distress channel, a faint signal deep in the burn zone, he'd suited up and dropped in. He pushed forward through the blackened undergrowth until he found it, a shattered transport craft, its hull half melted, smoke hissing from its vents. The distress beacon blinked from beneath twisted metal. And then, movement. A soft cry. Not mechanical. Not animal. Alive. Eli pulled aside the debris and gasped. Curled inside a survival cocoon were two small figures, thin-limbed, lavender-skinned, silver markings like starlight etched into their skin. Alien children. He'd read about them in the database. The Virellan, an ancient, reclusive race known for their elegance and rigid hierarchy. These weren't just children. Their markings, royal constellation sigils, meant they were heirs. "Hey," Eli rasped, kneeling. "I've got you. You're safe now." They looked up with wide, luminous eyes. One whimpered. The other clung to their sibling, trembling. The flames crept closer. Eli scooped them into his arms, one on each side. They were light, fragile even. He turned and ran, visor dimming, boots slamming against ashen ground. The trees ahead swayed, groaned, and collapsed in a cascade of fire. Blocked. He pivoted, ducking through a narrow animal trail barely wide enough for his frame. Branches tore at his suit. Heat pulsed against his back. But he didn't stop. He wouldn't stop. After what felt like hours, but was only 20 minutes, he burst through the smoke onto a rocky outcrop overlooking a lake. The fire hadn't reached here yet. He dropped to his knees, coughing, gently laying the children down. His suit systems failed with a low chime. Manual override only now. The children were crying. "It's okay," Eli whispered hoarsely, removing his helmet despite the burning air. "You're okay." A chime buzzed in his earpiece. A dropship. He waved frantically at the sky. Moments later, sleek black wings roared overhead, descending rapidly. The insignia of the Virellan Empire gleamed on its hull. When it landed, a contingent of tall, gold-robed aliens emerged, guards, medics, and a central figure adorned with a glowing halo crown. Her presence radiated command. The Empress. Eli's jaw slackened. One of the children reached for her. "Mama." She swept forward and dropped to her knees, cradling her heirs as tears shimmered in her eyes. Then she turned her gaze upon Eli, piercing, unreadable. "You," she said in near-perfect English, "risked death for my blood." I just couldn't leave them," Eli managed. There was silence. The guards didn't move. The wind hissed across the lake. Then she spoke. "You are summoned to the Temple of Stars," she said solemnly. "You will undergo the sacred rite." "What?" "It is our highest honor. One who saves royal blood must be bound to the Empire." Before he could argue, the guards flanked him, not with hostility, but with reverence. The Empress gave a single nod, and light enveloped him. The Temple of Stars was carved into a floating obsidian mountain that orbited Zarinth III's twin moon. It wasn't built, it was grown, the Virelin using living crystal and psionic resonance to shape their sacred places. Eli stood in the center of a vast chamber lit by bioluminescent veins that pulsed in rhythmic patterns. The Empress stood before him, flanked by her children and a ring of cloaked priests. She spoke with clarity. Eli Mercer of Earth. You braved fire for those not your own. You placed alien life above your own survival. In our culture, this is more than heroism. It is kinship. And kin must be honored. I appreciate that, truly, Eli said, unsure whether to bow or salute. But I didn't do it for a reward. The youngest child, the girl, stepped forward and slipped her tiny hand into his. You smell like safety, she whispered. Eli blinked, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The Empress raised her hands, and the room darkened. A ring of stars appeared overhead, simulated by the temple's psionic core. You will undergo the rite of binding, she said. You shall be recognized as guardian of flame, protector of our heirs, eternal friend to the crown. You will carry our sigil, and none shall strike you without invoking interstellar wrath. Eli's breath caught. A glowing blade, curved and translucent, was brought forward. It was not for violence, but ceremony. He knelt. The blade hovered above his shoulder. Then, light traced a symbol across his skin, painless, but permanent. The royal crest of the Virelin now shimmered faintly over his heart. You are one of us now, the Empress said. You may choose to return to Earth, but know that your place in our realm will never be forgotten. I think, Eli said slowly, I'd like to stay. At least for a while. Weeks passed. Eli found himself a celebrity among the Virelin, though they had no word for it. They called him Starblood Kin. The children followed him everywhere. He taught them how to skip rocks over the lake by the palace. In return, they taught him how to manipulate the floating flora that obeyed thoughts. He shared stories of Earth. They shared songs of stars that lived and died without ever being seen. But one evening, the Empress summoned him privately. She stood on a balcony overlooking the night sky. They dream of you, she said softly. Not out of fear or awe, but love. They call you Serel. It means heartlight. I didn't know, he replied, standing beside her. She looked at him with something almost like sorrow. In our culture, bonds like this often lead to a deeper ritual. A permanent one. You have awakened the rite of soul root. I don't understand. If accepted, it binds your fate to the royal line. You will age with them, live among us. You will not be consort, unless chosen later, but you will be family. Forever. Eli looked at the sky. He had no family on Earth. No one waiting for him. He thought of the little girl's hand in his. The boys' shy laughter. The way they clung to him in nightmares, then smiled the next morning. I accept. The second ceremony was quieter, more intimate. The children placed garlands of starlace vines over his shoulders. The Empress touched her forehead to his. He felt something like music fill his bones. And when it was done, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter. Months later, Eli stood with the two heirs on a hill overlooking the reborn forest. Trees regrew through terraforming. Life returned. The boy asked, "Will you always protect us?" Eli smiled. Always.